Hey there, my online family. Here I am again. I'm your Get Your Ish Together life coach in Notary Public, and I'm here to talk specifically to my audience that's 50 and above, but this does pertain to pretty much everyone that is adulting. So, we're going to get right into it, and it's how to achieve balanced living. Right now, we're dealing with a lot um, with ever changing things that are going on here in the US of A that is affecting everybody. So, on that note, how do you achieve a balanced life? So, first of all, we want to focus on healing. We all have previous traumas and different things from childhood, relationships, and so on. We want to obviously go ahead and address those issues and heal from those issues. And that may require therapy, that may require working with a coach. Whatever that may look like for you, you want to carve out that time and make that a priority for you, because if your head's not right, you're subject to triggers. Any and everything can possibly trigger you if you have unresolved trauma. But on a level of day to day, while you may be working with a coach or a psychologist, there are things that you can do starting right now, and that's to focus on what you can control. You can't control how people act, respond, and so on, but you can set boundaries and have let people know those boundaries and let them know when they are crossing those boundaries. You don't have to be rude and nasty, but you can be very direct, and they either respect it or you have to make some decisions, whether how you proceed with that person, whether they remain in your life or you deal with them from a distance. So again, focus on what you can control. If it's out of your control, you pray about it, you give it to God. Don't keep going back to it, thinking about it like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? Because from my experience, when you take it back, God stops working because He says, oh, you got this. You don't need my help. So when you give it to Him, leave it there. Let Him work. When your mind starts to play tricks on you and your mind wants to tell you to think about it, you try to figure it out, you remind yourself, say this mantra, this works for me. God is working. He is in control. All my faith is in Him. Moving on, rest. All of us are, I think, deprived of sleep and rest. And it's so important that you prioritize that, because we have these phones, computers, and so on that are constantly, grabbing at our attention. So it's so important to get your rest. For me, what works is setting a sleep schedule. I start, detaching myself from electronics 1 to 2 hours prior to bed. I set a bedtime. I know I don't always fall asleep at that time. But I do make it a conscious effort to be prepared and ready for bed at a certain time. I even set reminders for myself to start winding down and doing what I need to do. For you, that may look like putting that phone on do not disturb. I know it may be hard. You're like, oh, what if somebody needs me, this and that? What did you do before we had these smartphones? People will survive, and you will survive. You might get better rest if you can detach from your electronics. Try using do not disturb, or try setting a focus for sleep, and so on. And for many, that does work. It does take a minute to get adjusted to it, because you're tempted to want to check that phone, especially if you have children, grandchildren, and so on. But remind yourself, I deserve undivided sleep attention, rest attention, whether that's just shutting down and just taking time to yourself, practicing mindfulness. It's very important. Also, what helps is letting other people know what your schedule is. Let them know, hey, I start shutting down for bed around 7 p.m. So, or certain days of the week that you actually take calls. Hey, it's better to reach me on a Monday afternoon. Let people know and remind them. And people will respect those boundaries, but they have to be aware of them. Um, Also, so as far as, boundaries, like I said, you have to let people know, you have to make them aware, and many times you have to gently remind them, hey, I'm sorry, won't be available at 7:30. And, they will start to remember that, hey, I need to catch this person prior to, this time. So, with all of that in mind, focusing on your healing, focusing on things that are in your control and what is not, release that, and the universe will take care of it. Believe it or not, it will get taken care of. Prioritizing your rest, and that even means, as far as work, school, balance, have a full day off where you are not, you know, tempted to try to do something for work, or oh, I'm going to get ahead on my assignments, or I will, volunteer and pick up the grandkids and transport. Focus on having a full day off where you just do things that bring you joy and lots of relaxation. So that may just look like a big bowl of popcorn and several movies playing. Excuse me. And on that note, in order for all of those things to work, the healing, the rest, and setting those boundaries and shutting down, and ultimately you want to produce mental clarity. You want to avoid brain fog, or overwhelming your brain where you're not totally focused in. Like when you're having conversations, your brain is thinking about other things and you're not totally present, and that creates a door that will open to chaos. When you're not getting enough rest, you're taking on too many things, you have a problem saying no, then you start to forget things. You may forget to pay a bill, um, and so on. So you want to avoid that, and you don't want to overload your brain where you're dealing with brain fog and missing out on important obligations that you may have. So on that, I want to add negative thoughts. Anytime those negative thoughts start entering, then you want to go ahead and cancel those negative thoughts. Acknowledge them. Okay, I hear you, but no, that might be true for someone else, but that's not true for me. And you cancel it out with a positive thought, where, for example, the thought may be, you are so disorganized. You may counter that, okay, yeah, I do need to put some time in with organization. I do need to take some time out and organize myself. But I am organized and I am successful. So that's an example on canceling out those negative thoughts. And as far as organization, some tips that I have for that is, utilizing your electronic um, calendars and also physical calendars. You may be sitting at your desk, you have a physical calendar, and you don't want to forget, you want to jot down different things on your physical calendar. Use reminders. I prefer Google Calendar because it gives you lots of options for lots of reminders, and for me that really works. So you that is one tool to use for organizing yourself, in addition to a physical calendar, in addition to as far as like household items and chores and or things like that. You may want to keep that in a calendar on your phone or a things to do list, or you may want to put it in a prominent place that you will visit, and will help remind you. For example, the refrigerator. As you're running out of certain, grocery items or laundry products and so on, jot them down on the refrigerator when it's time, or, jot it down in your phone when it's time to go. Take a snap of that, that list, and you're good to go. It's in your phone. When you get to the store, you have your list. Anyways, those are my tips for today for us that are 50 and over, and basically for everyone. You have to prioritize yourself and heal from, your different wounds. Don't stay in the past, stay out of that rear view mirror. Look forward and know that you are blessed and you are prosperous. On that note, remember to be a blessing to others and you be blessed, and put yourself first. Self preservation.